Let's start. All right. Good evening, everyone. And thank you all for joining today's session. My name is Muradeyo Olajubu, and I'll be moderating today's session. And I have with me Fola Folu, who will be our reviewer. And today, we are starting a new book, Making It Big by Femi Otedola. We all know who this Nigerian billionaire is, right? Everybody fortunately got the highest votes, and we are here today. Everyone wants to make it big. So we are here to look at the story of Femi Otedola. Basically, this book rather gives us the Femi Otedola's entrepreneurial journey of how he made it, how he started, everything. And the book is broken into 5 sessions, right? So today we are looking at the introductory part, just the introductory part, and Falafolu would do justice to that. He would just give us brief introduction on how it was, or rather on how the book, once again, we sincerely apologize for starting late, and I'll hand over to Fola right now. Thank you. Fola, are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready. Good evening, everyone. Sorry, am I audible enough? Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Please go ahead. You're audible.
All right. Thank you. Good evening, everyone. It's good to be here. First off, happy Valentine's to everyone. So I hope you had a good day. All right. So let's get into what we have for today. All right. So like Anwar has rightly mentioned, the book we are reviewing today, which is Making It Big. Uh, we have a subteam lessons from a life in business. So lessons from a life in business, right? So one thing that really stands out from that topic is, he's not really trying to tell us his life story, how he grew up, all those kind of things. He's basically trying going straight to the business perspective of his life and how he has been able to navigate that particular section of his life. So that's one of the very, very good things you can get from this topic, from this book, I mean. So, like we all know, Femi is a Nigerian billionaire in dollars. And actually, upon reading this book, I got to know he's actually the youngest billionaire in Nigeria in dollars, actually. So I think so this his book is his business memoir. From the table of contents, if you can see that Femi has about 23 lessons that he wants to share with us in business, right? Lessons he has learned throughout his life from his childhood all the way into the 60s, right? All in his childhood from the 60s all the way to building and then rebuild. Starting from the very first page where we have the all the advanced praises and everything. You could see the caliber of people in the early pages of the book. Like I couldn't help but notice that actually. So although I feel like maybe I feel like overhyping though, but still. While I was even reading some of them, the advanced praises, I was jokingly asking myself that these people even have time to read the book and write all these things that they wrote there. But that's by the way. So we also have Okonjo-Iweala giving us the forward, talking about the entrepreneurial spirit we have in Nigeria and rightly praising Femi. And I think even starting from, even before we start going into the lessons that the book has for us, from the very, very beginning, you can see uh, one lesson that we might likely get from the book is it definitely includes something like associations or relationships that you have with people. Because I mean, look at the caliber of people that you have in that intro. That is it proverb now or idiom that says, show me your friends and I'll tell you who you are," kind of thing. So you can see the caliber of people that we have, rightfully reviewing the book. Okay. So from table of content, we can see a very interesting structure. He organized his life into 23 key lessons for us to learn from. And these are just, they are not just vague or just inspirational chapter titles. I mean, look at from lesson 4, you can see hire with caution, fire without regret. Like, what does that even mean? You can look at recognize your limits in chapter 14, and very, very interesting chapters. So these chapter titles, they sound like experiences that sound really painful. Some of them sound really painful to him, right? From what I can see from those chapter titles, right? So it's divided into 5 sections. You have in the beginning, you have the growth and expansion, reaching the top, collapse and rebirth, and finally rediscovery. Even the arrangement of those chapters tells a story. The structure of the chapter titles tell us a story. All right, so now, before I go straight into the words of Femi in the introduction part himself, I really don't know how many of us are kind of like uh, familiar with or are very used to Twitter a lot, right? But one a very particular story that came to my mind while I was going through the book was when Femi Otedola announced that he was releasing a book, right? He announced on his official Twitter account that he was releasing a book. Uh, I remember I was a very very popular person, an influencer kind of, right? All those people. So he came up and was like, there was really no lessons he wants to learn from the Big Billionaire's book in Nigeria, that he doesn't see any advantage he's going to get from the book. And that particular post that he made, he exploded, right? So that's why I mentioned that if you are very active on Twitter, you would have remember it wasn't quite long ago. And that particular post sparked a lot of reactions, comments, arguments, and interactions from people. And some of the arguments of that particular person was, one point in it was, most successful people in Nigeria don't actually share how they started. Like most of the times when they ask how they started their journey, when they are asked about their journey, go about maybe they say something like, "It's the grace of God. I started from nothing. God lifted me." Not really, really telling us the in-depth details, like something like that. So they often give us all these classic grass stories, which most times aren't really the full picture, right? It hasn't. Yeah, full picture. That's one of the arguments that person made. Another argument the person made, which is what I'll tie to uh, Femi in this instance, is most successful people today, or in Nigeria especially, they rarely acknowledge the head start that they had, setting up their businesses or enterprise, right? The safety nets, the backgrounds that they had that enabled them to be able to take certain risks. For instance, when you read a kind of grass to grace story, you don't usually hear about the family money that was keeping the person afloat, kind of cover the rent while the business was failing or something like that. You don't hear about the connections that opened up just because the person had a particular name, or the father or the grandfather already had a particular held a certain position sometimes ago, right? And this so Femi, from the very beginning in the introduction to this book, I like that he really, really made that point very clear. Like, really clear from the jump that this book is not about grass to grace. Like, told us from the start, mentioned it. His father became a governor. He got a 10 million capital. Was able to, even when he left school studying journalism, his father was studying journalism, how his parents met, right? He also mentioned that his mother was a catering manager at the University of Lagos. She ran a department, she managed people. He also mentioned that his early life, how he struggled with academics, right? He was really, really honest about that point, that he didn't really have a good grasp or he didn't really have a good flow with academia. And after Form 6 or so, he just decided to go into business. One thing that really stood out for me is how he was able to recognize what he wanted to do quite early on, right? I mean, not many of us uh, have that kind of vision, but Femi was able to say, okay, you know what, this book of a thing isn't really working for me. So I would like to jump into, say, business. He knew he wanted to go into business from the start. And after doing his schooling to a certain stage, he just dropped after the upper six and said, okay, Dad, I want to start working for you and something like that. So even when he started working for his dad, he didn't just decide to stay put, right? He wanted to do something more. He asked his dad that, okay, I want to be a sales person, and he agreed that he was going to be getting 10 to 15%, right? So the determination was there from the very beginning, and you can see how that has turned out for him in the very end. He has been able to build a very big, empire today, even though his mother did not really agree with it, right? So he had the fallback of his father's business after, deciding not to pursue his schooling anymore. At 25 years old, he became a managing director of his father's printing operation at 25. You understand how that was a very big. So that's why I mentioned that the fact that he was able to tell us from the introduction, the head start, he was able to acknowledge that head start that he had. Not very many of us have that head start to be able to do entrepreneurial stuff. Understand? The business might be failing, you have rent, you have all those kind of things. But he mentioned to us that, okay, so this is how I had it in my background. So you don't start having hopeless dreams and stuff like that. So also, uh, like I mentioned transparency about this background. One thing I also want to kind of like note is that even though he acknowledged the background he had, I just want to put it out there that it doesn't make his story less impressive, right? It's not very easy to build that kind of empire. It doesn't matter how much the fact that he was able to see the opportunities and take advantage of them, even with the background you had, is very impressive. So it doesn't make his success feel less impressive to me, and I don't think it should to anyone. Right? It's not a story of about overcoming poverty. It's a story of finding your lane, even though when you don't fit the expected the expected path. His other siblings were doing very that did not make him feel less than enough that my schooling and everything I'm not really doing well. He knew that okay, if this is not working for me, I can try something else. Also, coming back to that story on the Twitter debate I shared earlier, the critic said no billionaires don't share his story, and based on his introduction, Femi has shared even in this introductory part, right? It's showing us the family money, it's showing us the connections, it's showing us the education. It's not even hiding anything. So the question is now, does the rest of the book maintain this transparency, right? Does it keep showing us that okay, this deal I got, it was because you understand that kind of thing, or this business I was able to do was because of this connection and this thing I had. So I just hope the rest of the book will be able to be that transparent so that we can really connect with you. Okay, so like I mentioned earlier, I wasn't really excited to pick up the book because I don't know, business memorized by billionaires. I really my first choice when it comes to picking books. But I must confess that after reading this introduction, like I mentioned, I kind of like asked, is that really all? I did want it to continue, and it surprised me. So also, if you also note that even the entrepreneurial spirit I had, so the person he kind of like married, also the person he married also had that kind of spirit. his wife, Nana, right? He also mentioned that he gave her a loan of about 40 million naira at that time to set up a business, and she repaid everything, right? So some of the questions I just want to leave us with in this introductory part, and as we are progressing in the coming weeks on the book, does the background that he had, does it make the lessons you are going to learn from the book less useful to you? Does it make his success feel more attainable because it's transparent, or less relatable because most of us don't have that kind of background? So I feel like there's still a lot we can learn from him. Some of us are running small businesses, right? So some of those lessons can still work for each and every one of us. So I just want us to have an open mind and try as much as possible to be able to take in some of the lessons that he has from his book. Um, okay, so I think that's really all I have for us this evening. Thank you very much for listening. And over to you.
Thank you so much, Fola, for breaking down, for dissecting, for giving us what you've learned so far on the book. Yeah, the introductory part where it talked about how his parents met, married, how he also grew up. Thank you for giving us all that. So I'll just add one or two things to everything that you have said. At the end of the chapter, he said, society typically build a mold that expects people to fit into, but he's grateful for the kind of parent he had that they were able to allow him to explore on his own paths. And here he is today, right? He said academics, they were not friends. So he just knew that what is he doing here, right? He mentioned that part, and his parents had to force him to go, at least just go, just get this education. And he became the PA to his dad, and he told his dad that he's like he has already done everything he wants to do. He wants to start on his own, and his dad also encouraged him. And the same way his parents encouraged him is the same way he also transferred that encouragement to his children. And he said that he wants them to do whatever they want. And I guess that is also a good one, because most time we always we when our children are with us, we actually want them to be what we want them to be, not what they want to be, right? He said because he feels happiness is what matters the most. And I believe that is just be happy with whatever you're doing. If you're not happy with what you're doing, you might not really put in as much effort as you were meant to do. So those are the key things that I picked out of the book. He mentioned all his children, from DJ Kupi to Temi to the boy, right? And he was also able to tell us how his first company, how he made his first million, how he also made his first billion. So I am actually excited to read the book, right? This will be my first, no, aside regular spiritual book I read, this will be my real first Nigerian book that I'm actually reading, right? So I'm actually excited to understand how we made it, because they just gave us a fair share of everything. So I'm actually interested in knowing how we made it, how he made his first billion, how he moved to the oil and gas sector, what were the things, how did he dream that way, how did he get to that point? And his wife also, she was like, one day he came back and she was like, I cannot just start asking you for every 5 kobo, right? I need to start my own business. And boom, she made it. She opened annexes, and yes, here we are today. We are all celebrating Otedola. May we all celebrate ourselves also. this year and beyond. Okay, yeah, why we started late, sorry. We sincerely apologize. We know it's meant to be 7:30 to 8. So I'll just wrap up so that we can move and be hungry for more. Be hungry for more. In the next 5 sessions, I'm sure we would have eye openers, things that really would work in Nigeria, right? Everybody's experience is actually different, and let's see how our own can also fit in to it. So I'm really excited for next week's zone, and I'd like to appreciate everyone that voted for this book. I didn't vote for it, Sha, but I like to appreciate everyone that voted for it. And in fact, how Fola felt was the same way I felt too. But I read it. In fact, I read the book like 3 times today. And I was like, oh, okay. Because I already knew that it wasn't from, and the fact that he was, that we all knew he wasn't from a poor background, and connections actually helped him. He mentioned how he made money use with his dad's friends from cutting their nails and all. So I guess the book would actually give us a breakdown of everything. So when your visitors come to your house, please, you can charge them. Okay, so I'd like to appreciate everyone for joining, even though we started late. I'd like to say a big thank you to everyone. Please do remember to follow us on all our social media platforms, Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube. Once we post our videos, please watch, we share, like, try to engage us as possible. If you need, we are all also, if you want to review any of our books, the admins are always ready to get your picture, your name, and voila. This is actually a platform for us to also increase. If you want to be a public speaker, you can actually, practice makes perfection. So if you want to be a good presenter, you can actually start. And this is also a platform that nobody will advise you. Just do your thing, and I'm sure you'll even be surprised, right? Even though we are reading, we are also trying to practicalize whatever we have read. Let's start small and we'll make it. So I'm encouraging everyone, right, to try and review something for us. And I know that we would also book that looks very exciting for me. And I'm sure you also had the same feeling when you started the introductory part. So I'd like to encourage everyone and thank everyone again. Thank you all for showing forth, for coming through for us, and see you same time next week. We sincerely apologize again for the hiccups we had. Have a lovely evening. Thank you.
Thank you.